Stop. Before you scroll, before you sigh, before you reach for another distraction, listen. What you've been chasing has been chasing you back. You just couldn't hear it over the noise of your own desperation. You've been told to hustle harder, grind louder, want it more. But Machiavelli would laugh at that. Because the man who wants too visibly is the man who gets used. The woman who chases too openly is the woman who gets dismissed. The soul that begs is the soul that bleeds. Power does not run toward what begs for it. Power walks slowly, deliberately, toward what stands still. And tonight, I need you to stand still with me. Because if you have been exhausted, ignored, overlooked, betrayed, doubted, if life has felt like a closed door you keep knocking on until your knuckles bruise, there is a reason. And it is not the soft reason they sold you in those bright, smiling videos. It is colder than that, sharper than that, truer than that. What you want is already moving toward you. It has been moving toward you for longer than you realize. The only question is whether you will stop bleeding energy, stop chasing shadows, stop performing for people who never planned to clap long enough to let it finally arrive. So before we go any deeper into this, do one thing for me. In the comments below, drop a single phrase, your phrase, something that declares I am done chasing. I am the one being moved toward. Make it sharp. Make it yours, because the words you speak over yourself become the silent architecture of the empire you are about to walk into. Number 2. The lie you were sold. Now hear me carefully, because this next truth will burn before it heals. You were sold a lie so beautifully packaged that you mistook it for wisdom. They told you to want it more, to chase harder, to pursue with everything in you, to never stop, never rest, never breathe until the thing you desired was clenched between your fists. And so you ran. You ran until your lungs gave out. You ran until your dignity thinned. You ran until the very thing you were chasing began to run from you, because nothing in this world respects what desperately needs it. Machiavelli understood something most modern minds are too soft to accept. Desire, when worn on the face, becomes a leash that others hold. The moment your wanting is visible, you have handed your power to anyone willing to dangle the prize. Employers smell it, lovers smell it, friends, rivals, strangers. They all smell the scent of a man who needs, of a woman who hungers too openly, and they adjust their behavior accordingly. They withhold, they delay, they negotiate from a throne while you negotiate from your knees. This is the cruelty no one warned you about. The world does not reward the loudest hunger. It rewards the quietest certainty. It rewards the one who looks at the prize and says, I do not need this, but it would be wise of life to bring it to me. That is the posture of power. That is the frequency at which the universe finally begins to listen. So if doors have been closing, if opportunities have been slipping, if people have been pulling away, understand this is not punishment. It is feedback. It is life telling you that your energy has been leaking from every pore and nothing wants to walk into a house with broken windows. Seal them. Sit down. Stop performing your hunger like a beggar in a marketplace, because the second you stop chasing, something ancient begins to shift. The air changes. The room reorganizes itself around you, and what you wanted, what you bled for, begins, quietly, to turn its head in your direction. Drop your phrase again in the comments. Say it like you mean it. Say it like the old, desperate version of you is dying tonight. Number 3. The law of the still hunter. There is a law older than every book, every empire, every philosophy you have ever read, and Machiavelli only whispered the edges of it. It is the law of the still hunter. Watch a predator in nature. The lion does not chase every gazelle on the plain. The wolf does not howl at every shadow. The hawk does not flap wildly at every passing breeze. They wait. They watch. They become so still that the world forgets they are dangerous. And that is precisely when they strike. Stillness is not weakness. Stillness is the highest form of strategy. The amateur moves first and loses leverage. The master moves last and takes everything. You, my friend, have been moving first your entire life. You have been the one to text first, to apologize first, to explain first, to chase first, to over-deliver first, to bleed first, and you wondered why the world treated you like prey. It is because you behaved like prey. Prey is loud, prey is anxious. Prey scatters at every sound and runs toward every promise. But the still hunter does not flinch. The still hunter does not explain. The still hunter does not justify their hunger to anyone, because their hunger is private, sacred, contained. And from that containment comes a gravity so heavy that the world begins to bend toward them without them lifting a finger. This is the dark psychology they will never teach you in schools. The less you react, the more they obsess. The less you explain, the more they assume. The less you chase, the more they wonder. The less you need, the more you receive. Human nature is allergic to ease. It values only what resists its grasp. So become the thing that does not grasp back. Become the silence that other people cannot read. Become the closed door that everyone suddenly wants the key to. Sit in your own stillness like a king sits on his throne, not because he is performing royalty, but because he has nowhere else he needs to be. That is when life finally moves. That is when the calls come. That is when the offers arrive. That is when the people who ignored you start checking on you for reasons even they cannot explain, because power has a frequency and stillness is its native tongue. So drop your phrase in the comments one more time. Say it slowly. Say it like a man who no longer chases. Say it like a woman who knows that what is hers cannot pass her by. Before what you want can arrive, something inside you must die. And I do not say that to frighten you. I say it because Machiavelli understood that every transformation is built on a corpse. The new prince cannot rise until the old self is buried. The new empire cannot stand until the old structures are razed to the ground. And the new you, the untouchable, magnetic, sovereign version of you, cannot walk into your life while the old, anxious, performing, people-pleasing version of you is still occupying the throne. One of you has to go. And tonight, in the quiet of this moment, I am asking you to choose which one. Because the old you was useful for a season. The old you survived things that should have broken a weaker soul. The old you carried weights, swallowed insults, smiled through betrayal, gave more than was deserved, loved people who could not love back. Honor that version. Thank that version. But do not let that version drive the car anymore. That version was built for survival, not for sovereignty. That version was built to endure storms, not to command them. And what is moving toward you now? The opportunities, the people, the wealth, the respect, the love, cannot be received by trembling hands. It can only be received by a self that has been reforged in cold fire. So let the old you die. Let the version that begged for closure die. Let the version that explained itself to people who already decided to misunderstand it die. Let the version that confused exhaustion with loyalty die. Let the version that mistook attention for love, noise for power, busyness for purpose. Let all of it die tonight. Bury it without ceremony. Do not even speak at its funeral. Because Machiavelli teaches that mercy toward your own weakness is the slowest form of self-destruction. You must be ruthless with who you were so you can be precise about who you are becoming. And here is the strange, beautiful thing. The moment you make this internal execution, the world senses it. Before you say a word, before you post a thing, before you change a single visible detail of your life, the people around you feel the shift. Some will become uneasy, some will pull away, some will suddenly want to be closer, as if they smell something on you they cannot name. Let them react. Their reactions are no longer your concern. Your only concern now is the silent, sovereign work of building the man, the woman, the force that the next chapter requires. So drop your phrase again in the comments, but this time write it as your funeral vow. Write it as the last words you ever speak over the version of you that is being laid to rest tonight. Make it final, make it sharp, make it true. Number 5, the cold art of detachment. Now we enter the deepest chamber of this teaching, the one few are strong enough to walk into. the cold art of detachment. And do not confuse detachment with indifference, because they are not the same thing. Indifference is the corpse of caring. Detachment is its evolution. Indifference says, I do not feel. Detachment says, I feel everything, but nothing owns me. Machiavelli understood that the man who can be moved by emotion can be moved by enemies. The woman who can be manipulated through her longing can be ruled through it. And so the first act of true power is not the acquisition of weapons, nor wealth, nor allies. It is the surgical removal of the strings that other people have been pulling for years without your permission. Look at your life honestly. Look at how much of your energy is hostage to people who do not even think about you when they brush their teeth at night. Look at how many hours you have lost replaying conversations with people who have already moved on. Look at how often your mood has been dictated by a text that arrived or did not arrive, by a glance that was given or withheld, by an approval that was promised and then quietly revoked. That is not life. That is a hostage situation dressed up as a personality. And tonight, you are walking out of that building with your hands clean. Detachment is the discipline of letting people exist without letting them dictate. It is the art of caring deeply about your purpose while caring lightly about the opinions surrounding it. It is the strength to love without needing, to desire without grasping, to engage without depending. And here is the dark psychology of it. The moment you become unhookable, you become irresistible. People are drawn to what they cannot control. They obsess over what they cannot influence. They circle endlessly around the one soul in the room who is not watching them watch. Become that soul. Sit in conversations without performing for approval. Walk into rooms without scanning for validation. Receive compliments without inflating. Receive criticism without deflating. Receive silence without spiraling. Be the one whose temperature does not change based on the weather of other people's moods. This is the posture Machiavelli would call the unshakable prince, the leader whose interior climate is sovereign, whose inner kingdom cannot be stormed by outside winds. And when you live like this, something remarkable happens. The very things you used to chase begin to chase you, because the world is starving for stillness, starving for sovereignty, starving for a soul that does not flinch. People will project onto you. They will assume depth, mystery, danger, wisdom, and they will not be wrong. Because a detached soul is a deep soul, a soul that has done the brutal interior work of cutting every leash that did not belong to it. So practice this in small ways tonight. Do not respond to the message that demands an instant reply. Do not justify the decision that needs no justification. Do not explain the silence that protects your peace. Watch how the world reorganizes itself around your new posture. Watch how the energy you used to spend chasing now compounds inside you like interest on an old, forgotten investment. And once again, drop your phrase in the comments, but this time, say it as a man, as a woman, who has just cut every invisible string. Say it like a sovereign. Say it like someone the world can no longer pull. Now listen closely, because what I am about to share with you is the secret that operates beneath every empire, every fortune, every legendary life that has ever been built, the secret frequency of power. And it has nothing to do with how loud you are, how connected you are, how educated you are, or how many followers stand behind your name. It has to do with the silent signal you broadcast every second of every day, whether you realize it or not. Every human being is a transmitter. Every human being is a tuning fork humming a particular note into the universe, and the universe, being a ruthless mirror, sends back exactly what matches that note. The desperate man broadcasts desperation, and the world sends him more reasons to be desperate. The anxious woman broadcasts anxiety, and the world sends her more situations to be anxious about. The grateful, grounded, sovereign soul broadcasts certainty, and the world, almost against its own will, begins to arrange itself in service of that certainty. This is not mysticism. This is mechanics. Machiavelli knew it. The old kings knew it. Every general who ever turned the tide of a war knew it. The frequency you carry is louder than the words you speak, and the world responds to the frequency, not the speech. So ask yourself, with brutal honesty, what have you been broadcasting? Have you been broadcasting lack, complaint, fear, victimhood, exhaustion? Have you been telling everyone who would listen how hard it is, how unfair it is, how tired you are, how much you have suffered? Because if so, the world has heard you, and it has obediently delivered more of the same. The world is not punishing you. The world is agreeing with you. And the moment you change the frequency, the world has no choice but to change the delivery. This is the dark, beautiful law that operates beneath everything visible. Power does not respond to those who demand it. Power responds to those who already feel like they have it. Wealth does not respond to those who hunger for it. Wealth responds to those who already carry the inner posture of someone who belongs to it. Love does not respond to those who chase it. Love responds to those who have become so whole, so self-contained, so internally married to their own peace, that love arrives almost as a formality. So change your frequency tonight, not tomorrow, tonight. Begin speaking about your life as if the chapter has already turned. Begin walking as if the meeting has already been won. Begin breathing as if the answer has already arrived in the mail. Not in delusion, in declaration. There is a difference. Delusion ignores reality. Declaration commands it. The sovereign soul does not lie to themselves about where they are. They simply refuse to lie to themselves about where they are going. And that refusal, that quiet, immovable refusal to broadcast anything other than the future they are building, is what bends the frequency of their entire life. People will feel it before you say a word. Doors will open before you knock. Names you do not yet know will begin to speak yours in rooms you have never entered. This is not magic. This is the law that has always governed those who rise while others stagnate. So tonight, I want you to make a decision, a cold, deliberate decision, about what you will no longer broadcast. No more complaint. No more rehearsing of old wounds. No more performing of your hunger to people who feed on it. From this moment forward, you transmit only what you wish to receive. You speak only what you wish to summon. You carry yourself only as the person you have already decided to become. And once more, drop your phrase in the comments. But this time, say it as a frequency, not as a sentence. Say it as a hum that the universe cannot ignore. Say it as a tuning fork striking the air, demanding that everything around you finally come into alignment with the man, the woman, the sovereign you were always meant to be. Number 7. The weapon of patience. Now we arrive at the sharpest weapon in the entire arsenal of power, the one Machiavelli wielded better than almost any thinker before him. The weapon of patience. And I call it a weapon deliberately, because in the hands of the sovereign soul, patience is not passivity. Patience is not waiting. Patience is not the soft, defeated resignation that the weak mistake it for. Patience in its true form is calculated stillness wrapped around an unbreakable inner certainty. It is the predator's pause. It is the chess master's silence before the move that ends the game. It is the long, slow exhale of a man who knows that time is not his enemy, but his most loyal servant. And this is precisely why most people never wield it, because they confuse urgency with progress, and motion with meaning, and noise with power. They cannot sit with the discomfort of an unfinished story. They cannot tolerate the silence between the seed and the harvest. They cannot endure the cold winter of a vision that has not yet bloomed, and so they dig up the seed every other day to see if it has grown, and then they wonder why nothing in their life ever takes root. You will not be that person any longer, because tonight you are learning what the masters have always known, that patience is the soil in which every great destiny is grown, and that the man or woman who can outweight the world will eventually outclass it. Machiavelli wrote that fortune favors the bold, yes, but he also understood that fortune obeys the patient, the cunning, the ones who know when not to move. The amateur reacts immediately. The master waits 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 years if necessary, and watches the entire landscape rearrange itself in their favor before lifting a single finger. There is a brutal beauty in this. Watch how people destroy themselves through impatience. They quit relationships one breath before the breakthrough. They abandon dreams one season before the bloom. They sell their stock 1 week before the rise. They send the desperate text 1 hour before the other person was going to reach out on their own. Impatience is the silent assassin of nearly every empire that should have been built. And the cruelest part is that most people never even know what they killed. They only feel the vague ache of a life that almost was. You will not live that life, because patience, when fused with vision, becomes the most ruthless force on earth. It allows you to outlast your enemies without ever fighting them. It allows you to watch the people who underestimated you fall by their own hand, while you stand untouched in the corner, sipping your patience like wine. It allows you to receive what was always meant for you, in its proper time, in its proper form, untainted by the desperation that would have spoiled the gift had it arrived too soon. Understand this. Most of what you wanted in the past, you were not yet ready to hold. If it had arrived during the season of your weakness, you would have squandered it, mishandled it, lost it, or watched it rot in your hands. The delay was not denial. The delay was preparation. The delay was the universe forging you into someone capable of carrying what is now finally moving toward you. So stop resenting the wait. Start respecting it. The wait is not your prison. The wait is your training ground. Every day you spend in disciplined patience is a day you are becoming the kind of soul that what you want would feel honored to belong to. Sit with that. Let it sink past your skin, because the moment you stop treating time as your enemy, time becomes your most powerful ally, working invisibly on your behalf, removing obstacles, repositioning people, opening corridors you cannot yet see. And while it does its silent work, you do yours. You build, you sharpen, you read, you train, you refine, you become. You become so quietly formidable that when what you wanted finally arrives, it does not change you. You change it. You absorb it into the empire of yourself without losing a step, without losing your center, without losing the sovereign stillness that summoned it in the first place. That is the weapon of patience. That is the long blade of the wise. So once more, drop your phrase in the comments. But this time, write it as the vow of someone who is no longer in a hurry. Write it as the declaration of a soul that has finally understood that what is coming was always going to arrive, and that you, at last, are ready to receive it. Number 8. The enemies inside you. Now we must speak of the war that no one warns you about, the war that decides every other war, the war that Machiavelli understood was the only one truly worth winning. The war against the enemies that live inside you. Because here is the truth that the soft world refuses to teach. Your greatest opposition has never been your rivals, never been your circumstances, never been the people who betrayed you, never been the systems stacked against you. Your greatest opposition has always been the small whispering voices that live inside your own skull, the voices that flinch when greatness approaches, the voices that talk you out of the very things you prayed for, the voices that dress fear up in the costume of logic and then convince you it is wisdom. These are the enemies you must learn to recognize, name, and execute without mercy. The voice of self-doubt that asks, "Who am I to want this?" That is an enemy. The voice of self-pity that whispers, "No one understands what I have been through." That is an enemy. The voice of comparison that constantly measures your beginning against someone else's middle. That is an enemy. The voice of nostalgia that romanticizes the very people and places that nearly destroyed you. That is an enemy. The voice of comfort that begs you to stay small, stay safe, stay invisible, because rising requires a kind of exposure your old self was never trained to survive. That, perhaps, is the deadliest enemy of all. And Machiavelli would tell you plainly that a prince who cannot rule his own interior cannot rule anything else. The man who is governed by his impulses is governed by anyone who knows how to provoke them. The woman who is ruled by her insecurities is ruled by anyone who knows how to trigger them. And the soul that cannot sit alone in a quiet room with its own thoughts, without flinching, without reaching for the phone, without numbing, without escaping, that soul will never command the larger arenas of life, because it cannot even command the smaller arena of itself. So tonight, we go to war, not with the world, with the inner saboteurs that have been wearing your voice for years. Begin by noticing them. Most people are so fused with their inner critic that they cannot tell where the voice ends and where they begin. They think the voice is them. It is not. The voice is a parasite that learned to speak in your accent. It was installed by old wounds, by old environments, by old people who projected their limitations onto you when you were too young to defend yourself. And every time you obey that voice, you are obeying the lowest version of everyone who ever doubted you. Stop obeying it. Recognize it for what it is. An outdated security system, screaming at every new opportunity as if it were a threat. Thank it for its service. And then, with the cold precision of a sovereign, override it. Move in spite of it. Speak in spite of it. Build in spite of it. Show up in spite of it. Because the voice does not actually have power over you. It only has the power you keep handing it through obedience. The day you stop obeying is the day the voice begins to die. And in its place, a new interior emerges. Quieter, steadier, deeper. A voice that does not panic. A voice that does not flinch. A voice that says, "We have been here before, and we have survived worse, and we are not turning back." That is the voice of the sovereign self, the inner king, the inner queen, the part of you that was buried under years of conditioning but never destroyed. Wake it, feed it, listen to it, and let it lead the others into silence. Because once the enemies inside you are subdued, the enemies outside you become almost comical in their smallness. The rejections do not wound the way they used to. The criticisms do not destabilize the way they used to. The betrayals, when they come, are absorbed by an interior that is no longer made of glass. You become difficult to break, difficult to manipulate, difficult to provoke, and therefore, finally, difficult to defeat. This is the unshakable foundation upon which every empire of self is built. So, drop your phrase in the comments one more time. But tonight, write it as a war cry. Write it as the words you speak over the inner enemies as you finally take back the throne that was always yours. Write it like a sovereign reclaiming their own mind from the squatters who occupied it for too long. And now, we approach the moment that no one prepares you for, the moment of arrival. Because here is the strange, almost cruel irony of the path you are walking. Most people are devastated by their failures, but the truly powerful are tested by their arrivals. The day what you wanted finally appears at your door is the day a different kind of trial begins, and Machiavelli understood this better than almost anyone who ever lived. He watched princes climb to power only to be undone by the very thrones they had bled for. He watched men acquire kingdoms and lose themselves inside them within a single season. Because arrival is not the end of the story. Arrival is the beginning of the test that reveals whether you were truly forged for what you were chasing or whether you were merely performing the role of someone who deserved it. Most people are not ready for their own answered prayers. They spent so many years in the posture of wanting that they forgot to develop the posture of receiving. And when the thing finally arrives, the relationship, the money, the recognition, the position, the love, they mishandle it, they cling to it, they panic at the thought of losing it, they shrink under the weight of it, and within a short time, they find themselves back at the bottom, confused, ashamed, wondering what went wrong. Nothing went wrong. They simply had not yet become the kind of soul their dream required. But you will not be that soul. Because the work you have done in the previous sections, the death of the old self, the cold detachment, the patience, the war on inner enemies, the recalibration of your frequency, all of that has not been decoration. All of that has been preparation. You have been quietly building the interior architecture capable of holding what is now coming toward you. So when it arrives, do not flinch, do not over-celebrate, do not broadcast it prematurely to the wrong eyes. Do not let the excitement break the very stillness that summoned the gift in the first place. Receive it the way a king receives tribute, with composure, with gratitude, with the unspoken understanding that this was always going to be yours, and therefore it does not need to be performed. The sovereign does not throw a parade when the harvest arrives. The sovereign simply walks out into the field, surveys the work, and prepares for the next season. That is the posture you must hold, because there will be people watching your arrival who never watched your becoming. There will be voices congratulating you who were silent during your starvation. There will be hands reaching toward you that were nowhere to be found when you needed them most. Be gracious, but be discerning. Not everyone who celebrates your rise has your survival in mind. Not everyone who claps for your new chapter wishes for it to last. Machiavelli would warn you here. The higher you climb, the more careful you must become about who you allow into your inner circle, because the closer the access, the deeper the potential wound. The sovereign protects the territory they bled for, not with paranoia, but with precision, not with cruelty, but with clarity. And as you settle into this new chapter, remember this. Do not let the arrival soften the very disciplines that summoned it. Do not let success make you stop reading, stop training, stop refining, stop waking early, stop carrying yourself with the quiet ferocity of someone who is still becoming. Because the moment you treat the arrival as the destination is the moment you begin the slow decline. Treat it instead as a checkpoint, a milestone, a confirmation that the laws you have aligned yourself with are real and that more, much more, is now available to you. There is no ceiling on the sovereign self. There are only the next levels waiting for you to keep showing up as the kind of soul they recognize. So when the arrival comes, and it is coming sooner than your tired heart can imagine, do not collapse into it. Do not lose yourself in it. Stand inside it the way a mountain stands inside the clouds, unmoved by the weather that briefly surrounds it. Because you are not built to chase. You are built to be moved toward. You are not built to beg. You are built to be sought. So once again, drop your phrase in the comments. But tonight, write it as the words of someone who is no longer waiting at the door, but standing, calm and sovereign on the inside of the life they were always meant to live. Number 10, the final word. And now we come to the end of this teaching, though for you, this is not an ending, but a quiet, deliberate beginning. So hear these final words slowly, because they are the seeds you will carry into every room, every conversation, every decision, every silence from this night forward. What you want is already moving toward you. Say it inside your chest until your bones believe it. Not because the universe is soft, not because life is fair, not because the world owes you anything, but because you have finally become the kind of soul that what you want would be foolish to pass by. You have died the right deaths. You have buried the right versions. You have severed the right strings. You have changed the frequency of your inner broadcast, and the world, being the obedient mirror it has always been, is now reorganizing itself in response to the man, the woman, the sovereign you have become. So do not chase tonight. Do not beg tonight. Do not perform your hunger to anyone tonight. Walk slowly. Speak less. Watch more. Trust the long, invisible work that is unfolding on your behalf in rooms you have not yet entered, in conversations you are not yet part of, in destinies that are quietly aligning while you sleep. Machiavelli would be proud of the cold clarity you have earned tonight, because clarity is the first weapon of every empire that has ever endured. So carry it, sharpen it, live by it, and when the world tests you again, and it will because the world tests everyone it suspects of rising, return to this teaching, return to your stillness, return to the sovereign interior you have just claimed back from the noise. You are no longer the one who waits anxiously by the door. You are the one the door opens for. You are no longer the one who chases what runs. You are the one toward whom things move. Before you go, drop your phrase one final time in the comments. Louder, sharper, more certain than every other time you have written it tonight. Let it stand as the closing signature of the soul you have become inside this monologue. And if these words shifted something inside you, if any single sentence cracked open a door that had been closed for too long, do this for me. Like this video, subscribe to Machiavellian Mind, and turn on the notification bell so that no future teaching, no future weapon, no future piece of this dark and beautiful philosophy ever passes you by. Because the man, the woman, the sovereign you are becoming will need every truth this channel has to offer. Now go, Walk slowly, breathe deeply, speak less, trust more. What you want is already moving toward you, and tonight, at last, you are finally still enough to let it arrive.